Hey. All right. I'm so glad you could join me today. Thank you for being a willing
Perfect.
participant. So now that
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to this.
I'm looking forward to it too. Is there a little delay?
You're cutting out.
Okay.
Yeah. And can you hear me okay?
Yes. Okay.
No?
Let's just see. I can hear you. Okay. Tell me if this is better. Does this work better?
Yes, I can hear you, but your photo is
Delayed?
like you keep slowing down and speeding up.
Ah, okay. Okay. I'm gonna just do a small test. So I'm gonna talk for a few seconds. And then you tell me, you can put your hand up and tell me if it's bad.
No, it's good now.
It's good now? Okay.
It's good now.
So if at any time it gets not good, you just put like your hand up so I know, okay?
Yeah. Do
Okay.
you want to stop and start over because you're recording?
Now I'll just edit it.
Okay. Oh,
Okay. So I sent you a few questions for today. Did you get a chance to think about them?
yes.
Awesome. So what I would like to do is I would like you to introduce yourself a little bit. So you're going to be telling me and the hundreds of thousands of people that'll be watching this, who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to who you are and where you are today.
Okay. So, uh, I'm Marja Harmer, and I have a coaching business, which I focus on financial planners, but I've helped many other people also. Um, I have been in sales all of my life. I only have grade 12. I have spent hundreds of thousands, at least $200,000 on education over the years.
Wow.
Now with Living the Legacy with Bob Proctor, who I absolutely adored while he was alive and still adore, great mentor. I've had many really good mentors over the years. Um, in every position that I've ever held in sales, ever, right when I was 16 years old till now, I was always in the top 10% of my company.
Woo.
So when I was 16, I won a contest. I started this job, selling shoes.
Shoot.
Anyway, I started this job and in September, and in October to November, they had this contest on. It was the shoe company was called Agnew Surpass. They don't exist anymore. And out of 4,000 stores, no, it must have been 400 and some stores. I just started there. I was number one in the contest across the country. That
Wow.
was my first sales job. And I never left it. When I had office jobs and I was hostess on a ski hill, nothing is better than sales. You can get as much money as you want.
You're right. You are right on that. This is true.
So that's me. I'm married. I've got 3 daughters and a stepson, and 8 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren.
That's
So
amazing.
I've been around a long time.
You have a lot of wisdom to share. So that's awesome. Tell me a little bit about the sales for a second. When did you start doing sales? How old were
When
you?
I was 16,
16, and you never stopped.
I never stopped. I
Okay,
love it. I love helping people.
you must know people really well. Only people who stay in sales know people, get people, they know how to work it. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But
As long as you give them what they want.
Yes.
You don't have to think about anything else. The money just flows.
That is very true. So tell me, you said you were a coach now.
Yes.
And how long have you been coaching for?
I've been coaching for since the 1990s
Okay.
with clients, and now I was a financial consultant for over 20 years, and
Wow.
in that, like, I had my clients, and then they promoted me to director. So I had my clients, hired people, and trained the financial advisors. So
Wow.
that's kind of what I focus on. But I mean, sales is sales is sales.
Would you consider in financial advising, was there sales aspects involved with that as well?
Oh, that is your salesperson.
So what were you selling in financial advising?
When or
What?
what? I was selling insurance, life insurance, critical illness, all the different kinds of insurance, and also mutual funds, and in Canada, GICs, or you call them term deposits.
Hmm.
So everything the bank does.
Okay, so the reason I asked that is a lot of people are going to watch this podcast and they might not know what that is. So it's good for people to understand what that is, where you come from, and that sales in the financial sector. Primarily, it goes around insurance and what you're talking about, and it's really
Yeah.
valuable information. So we might have to do a second podcast just on that with you. But
Oh, that's great. Yeah, sure.
but I had some interesting questions, and I wanted to ask you, the first one was, what was a defining moment in your life that made you aware that you could change your life and have more?
Okay. That is a super question. You gave me goosebumps, and it's really, really hard to uh, to put the awareness on there. So everybody thinks they're aware. 100% of the people think they're aware.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, it's only 15 to 20% of the people that are aware. So what the heck are the rest of us? 80% doing?
That's
They're
crazy. That's
just
not a lot of people that are aware. Wow.
they're just going through life. Mom and dad did this, and so I'm doing the same thing. This is what I was taught. So, for example, I have friends that the brother inherited a farm, and my friend's husband, they went out and bought a farm. They didn't inherit anything. They worked it.
Interesting.
They worked it, and modernized and figured out how to make more money. The brother that inherited the farm didn't change a thing. He ran it just like his father did. He's just
Oh,
not aware.
right. So
Yeah,
they just
you
follow
can.
the path of least resistance.
Yeah. So,
They keep
you
on
know,
doing.
I said to them, I said, you should be really grateful you never inherited, you know?
Right. You're right.
So, and they said, yeah, they were, because who knows what would have happened.
That's interesting. And it actually brings to mind on Shark Tank, Barbara said at one point, she said she doesn't like to help kids who are rich. She said, I'll never support the kids who are rich because they don't know how to work. They don't know how to be creative. And
And no ethic, you know?
yeah, that's exactly. She said, they're not going to get in there and grind where, the kids who have learned and had to get up early and figure it out, they're going to grind and push forward and learn. And it's grit, right? That's that grit. That's really interesting.
Exactly. So for me, my awareness, like, I know from the age of 16 that I could excel as a salesperson. So again, my parents, being wonderful parents, because I really had a very good life. I don't have a sad story to tell. Well, maybe I do, but not in my childhood. I was born in the Netherlands. We immigrated to Canada when I was young, and I had my hardships because I couldn't speak English, but doesn't matter. You learn, right?
Yeah.
So my father decided that I should have an office job, not a sales job, because sales are looked down upon by most people.
Yep.
Oh, you're just a salesperson. But half the time, most of the time, I earn more money than anybody in an office job. I don't ever remember earning, not earning more than
Yeah.
my friends. That just didn't happen. But you can't just go and say, oh, yeah, I'm in a sales job, but I make twice as much money a year as you do.
It's true. But it's the only job where the harder you work, you get paid for it.
Yeah.
You
And
earn
so
what you work for.
you learn, you get specialized in the service that you provide.
Yes.
For example, just going back to shoes, I mean, I was 16. How the heck am I going to sell a shoe? I take a pretty one off the shelf, I give you the size, and you buy it. No, that's not selling shoes. That's being an order taker. Selling shoes is, I'm talking about shoes because, that's like the bottom of the barrel, right?
Yeah, it's true.
It is. It's like
I
the
sold
used
shoes.
car
I can
salesman.
say that. I can say it because I did that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I walked in my first day at the shoe store. The manager, Ed Mason, I still remember his name. He specialized in fitting children's shoes. I watched him a few times and I thought, if I'm going to sell shoes, I got to know how to fit shoes. So I followed him around like a little puppy dog. And, he'd say, oh, go get me this size, get me that. Oh, yeah, I'll do it. But I learned how to fit little children's shoes, baby shoes. And they're expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, uh, it got to the point, and I only worked there for 4 months. Then I quit because there wasn't enough money there for me. But I got repeat customers, and I'd only been there 4 months. Oh,
Wow.
so-and-so referred me. You fit their kid's shoe really well. So it's the service that you provide that makes you successful. You have
Yeah.
to specialize in whatever you're doing.
Yep. That's exactly right. So you were telling me just now about when did you become aware that you could change and have more? What was the moment then?
Well, I was married at a very young age, living in Kelowna, British Columbia, and I've been married already for years. And I was in an abusive situation. And the reason why I was there for so many years is it's very, very difficult you know what you have, but you don't know where you're going. That fear
Oh, yeah.
is so hard to change your life. And there was a turning point one day that happened, and I won't go into that I said, this is BS. I don't care what happens. I have to leave. And we had like a boat in the yacht club, a very nice house, and but what's all those material things if you're scared all the time? And so I left with my 3 girls. I walked into the house and I went into the pantry, got out 3 garbage bags, handed them to them, and I said, fill them up with everything that you like. It has to fit, and your bedding, and go out to the car, put it in the trunk, and get in the car, wait for me. And I told my oldest one to help the youngest one. And we did that. He was there, and I filled up my bag. So we had 4 garbage bags full with bedding and clothes. Do you know I didn't even own a dress? How pathetic is that?
Wow.
So I got into my car and I just started driving, and I drove all the way from Kelowna to Cranbrook, spent the night with friends, and the next day I went to Regina back to my family. And then the problem of getting a job, right?
Yep.
And I didn't want a job in an office because I can't make the money I need. I never ever got child support. I decided I'd rather live than fight that.
Yeah.
So anyways, long story short, I ended up selling carpets at Sears. In 3 months, I was in the top 10% of the company of all the stores in Canada.
Wow.
But it's all about building your relationships and caring about your clients. That's no matter what you do. So then from there, I went into financial planning. Same thing. I started with 0 clients. And when I sold my practice, it was worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wow.
And now I'm here. I decided that I would help people
Wow.
coaching and teach them. So can I share one of my best clients, or do you have time for that?
Oh,
One
please
of my
share. Please share. I'd love to hear.
Okay, so this gal phoned me just this last year. This is the best one I've ever had. She phoned me in May of last year, 2022. And she says, I need your help and you're my last chance. And I said, well, tell me your problem. She says, well, I work at the bank and I decided that I was making $60,000 a year. And she said, so January 1st, I went on straight commission. I took a job where I only get paid commission and I have to bring clients in. I said, oh, okay, that's easy. And I said, how much money have you made since January to May till today? She said, 0.
Whoa.
And she said, but they were paying her so much every month, right, to train.
Yeah.
And that was going to be up June the 1st. And I says, well, I can tell you this, if you do exactly as I say, you won't have a thing to worry about. But if you don't listen to me, then you'll be exactly where you are right now.
Wow.
So I said, think it over for 24 hours, phone me back, let me know. She phoned me back, paid, and we went to work. So in June, she brought in $1.2 million.
What?
In July, she brought in 900 and some thousand dollars.
Oh my goodness.
In August, she just over $1 million. And we were done the end of August. And so I said, well, we'll do one more week because I want to figure out, we ran out of time. I said, because I want to figure out what you're going to make by the end of the year. And because I didn't know what her pay scale was. I had an idea. So we got together the following week and we crunched the numbers of what she had done in those 3 months and what that would mean if she kept doing exactly as I told her to do. So from January 1st to May 31st of that year, she made nothing. And her projection after those 3 months, her projection was to make more than $300,000 by the end of the year.
Wow. Like that's her income. From
Her
zero,
income.
from 0 for the first half to 300,000 in the second half.
Yeah.
Okay.
So her supervisor was upset with her and said that she was doing too much. She was making everybody look bad.
Wow. That is a story. That's incredible.
Yeah, I know.
This happened, right? That's after COVID.
No, that was last year. Yeah, I guess 2022.
Okay, so like when people hear this, they're not going to say, oh, we can't do that anymore. This is actually just happened.
Just happened in 2022. Yeah.
That's incredible. What a story.
She's my best story. She's the best story. But she did everything that I told her to do. Wow. She didn't miss a beat.
Okay, that is absolutely incredible. Now, what industry was she in?
Financial planning.
So she was in financial planning. So anyone who's hearing this is going to be like, I'll have to put your info up because you're going to have people being like, I want you to coach me. You still do that, right?
Yeah, of course I do. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's good. That's incredible. What a story. Like I have shivers. I'm like holding back tears from like hearing you talk about when you decided to leave. And I know I'm a single mom with 3 kids and like I know what it's like. You feel it there's so much fear
Yes.
of what will happen when you leave. Like what will people think? What are your kids going to think? Are you wrecking them? What are you going to do? But you just feel like you don't want them to grow up like this. You know that there's a better way, but
There's
it's so scary.
there's always the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
You know, like I've had people come to me and say, I want to leave my husband. And one lady said to me, I was at a conference with her, and she said, I got to leave him. I can't stand him, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, I can't tell you to do that. You know, if you decide to do it, well, then I'll help you. But I'm not encouraging it because everybody is different.
Yeah.
So she got on the phone with her husband, and I was in the room, so I heard what she was talking about. When she hung up, I says, you know what? You're not ready. I know you're not ready. You'll know when you're ready. I promise you. And you know that too if you've gone through it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's just it happens and it's just there's no turning back. Once it happens, it's on.
Yeah. So you're aware of that, right? It's
Yeah.
so scared. You have to go like, you know, through that fear and come through to the other side and have the faith that everything's going to be okay.
You know, it's interesting because we're both with living the legacy and that's what the message we're trying to bring forward is how to help people and like you're hitting on the key points and principles, the desire, you're hitting on the
Yeah.
clarity and the faith. I'll be honest with you, when I asked you the question, what made you aware that you can change and have more? It's funny because after doing this for years and talking to people and hearing it, I didn't think you were going to say it was a low point. I thought you were going to say something else. So then I'm hearing you and I'm going, of course it is. For people like you who are successful, it's almost like something needs to break in order for you to remind yourself who you are. It's so interesting.
Exactly.
Time and time again, you hear it from people who went from the bottom to the top. They had to hit the bottom. They had to. I call it the
Yeah.
slingshot effect. You know, when you in a slingshot, you get pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled, and finally there's nothing left, and you just release. And it's like,
Like I had a place to live, and my mom's friends and my sister's friends brought me dishes and pots and pans and clothes. I had no clothes so
wow,
that I could go for an interview. I got furniture, beds, you know, like everybody just came flooding in and helping me. But I never, one thing that I didn't do was dwell on where's my next nickel coming from. Because I knew when I got my job. And I've never not got the job I wanted. So, I mean, it was just, you know, it's just, you're just aware
inside
that
you.
you can do it,
Yes.
you know, and some people don't believe in themselves. And that's what we're teaching. Everyone can do exactly the same thing. We breathe the same air. None of us are smarter than it, you know, than others.
Yeah.
You
And
just need
no,
to specialize.
you do. You're right. It's specialized knowledge, another principle. And the other thing is follow the steps. If you follow exactly the steps, it's foolproof. So I think this is amazing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to keep going. Okay, I had a second question for you.
Okay.
And it was, have you felt the supernatural world has impacted you? And I said, you know, like intuition or manifestation or in whatever way. So tell me about that.
Yes. Yes. Um, I've always had a good intuition, but I really have a good intuition now because of all the studying that I've done. And it's to the point now, and it just happened before we got on. I was thinking that I have to phone this lady that I can't meet with her tomorrow because I have another appointment. And as I was thinking that, she messaged me And that happens all
All
the
the
time.
time.
So now what I'm trying to do, this is my new thing in life, is when I think of someone, I right away text them or phone them before they do it, before they phone me. Because I find myself saying, I was just thinking about you. We go to ESP, it's that inner intuition. I get that uh, feeling when something is not right, and then I don't do it.
That's good.
You know, uh, like I never stopped from going on a plane and it crashed or anything like that. It's all little things, and I know that over time that's going to grow. I meditate every morning. Uh, I I'm a real believer of what Think and Grow Rich uh, preaches or teaches us about the goal and the goal setting and how important that is. If you don't have a roadmap, how the heck are you going to get there?
It's true. It's
You
true.
know,
Yeah.
so you need to know what you're doing, and of course, the last thing is taking the action.
Yeah.
So, and I have. I was in a mastermind, and I had to pay. I forget what it was. I think it was 1,000 US, so it was about 1,300 a month. And I was having some problems with my real estate properties, and so all of a sudden I needed to come up with $30,000 weekly, and I just manifested. And it was 24/7, day and night. That's the only thing that I thought about.
Wow.
Every time my mind wandered, I went right back there.
And what would
And
you
I
tell
kept,
yourself? Just in case someone's listening and they're going through something, what would you be saying to yourself?
well, I would say like money flow. This is the thing I always said. Money flows to me from unexpected uh, places.
Yes.
And you've heard this one before, right? I'm a money magnet, and prosperity is of all kinds are drawn to me.
Love it.
My income is constantly increasing. Every cell in my body vibrates with energy. And like we are all energy.
Yeah.
Money is energy. Do you know that in 30 days, I got $30,000 from an unexpected source that I did not even know I would get?
Woo, I just got shivers. Wow.
Yeah, when I tell you about it, I get shivers. It was just freaking amazing, you know. So, if for all the disbelievers out there, I've got one uh, friend, my girlfriend's husband says, "Oh, you do all that voodoo stuff," and I said to him, I said, "Yeah, it works. Do you want me to teach you how?"
Do you also want money? I can.
So, there's always people that don't believe, and it's because we've been pre-programmed,
Yeah.
and we have to fight that program.
Yes.
And birds of a feather flock together, and you have to be very, very careful of the people you surround yourself with. And when the naysayers are around you, you have to start thinking of something else. You can just smile at them and nod and be, reciting something to yourself
Yes.
so that you don't hear it, so it doesn't get into the subconscious mind. You really have to take care of yourself.
And that's another principle. And I mean, talking about this even goes to the Outwitting the Devil that he wrote that
Yeah,
book. And he talks about
yep,
drifters. And I even notice it myself, maybe not even the naysayers, but if you're around people who are drifting and aren't ambitious and goal setting and pushing, you're not going to be like it's so true. Who you hang out with, that mastermind of people you have around yourself is going to be who you become.
exactly.
It's
So
very
it's important. It's just like my first job. The manager that hired me, I followed him like a little pup dog. When
right.
I went to Sears, I chased around the guy that was the top salesperson. I used his speech perfectly.
That's
Well,
awesome.
he was so upset when in 3 months I was in the top 10% and he was in the top 30, you
Wow.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so I went to the best one and I learned from that person. And then when you do that, do exactly as they're doing, yourself will emerge down the road. You'll
So
change it up to so it suits you.
it feels like I'm hearing you really sound like you continually reprogrammed yourself.
Yeah,
It was like you were in this constant reprogramming, and I think that that's really important for people to hear who are listening, is that even people like yourself, there's never a point when you just make it and you're like, okay, now I'm here. You're
no,
constantly learning. You find someone else doing something and you learn that, and then you process and learn that. Like, even for myself, like, I graduated grade 12 and I've been very successful. And people often ask me, oh, like, what university, what college did you go to? And I'm like, I didn't. I went to the College of Life, went to the
yes,
University of
a
Hard Work.
hard knocks.
Whenever people ask me, and for a while, people would even ask me, like, oh, like, who are you dating? Who are you seeing? And back in the day when I was trying to get higher up, I would tell people I was dating Sean Covey, who's an author, and
Yes.
um, who wrote Good to Great. His name slipped my mind. And I would say these authors, I'd be like, well, I'm dating this guy because I was so obsessed with learning that I said this was my boyfriend. And someone recently asked me, who are you dating? And I said, Napoleon Hill is my new man. So I think, yeah, like you have that mindset of
Yeah.
you've never made it. There's always someone else to learn from. There's always a new lesson. There's always a new program to change. And I think also something I love what you say, which people miss, is the law of compensation. You're not afraid to trade your expertise for money. You're willing to do what it takes, even though those months where something shows up like that. But you're working within the laws of the universe. And a lot of people, they don't want to do that. They're like, I don't want to work that hard. I don't want to do that. Well, gotta start somewhere.
There are, and I have met them, people out there that when I say, what do you want? We're all energy. So my computer is energy. Everything is energy. You just look around wherever you are. And so if you want a car, that's energy. So let's talk about that money, that's energy, because you're going to need that to buy that car, for example. And they cannot write down the amount that they want per month. They can't
Wow.
do it. There's a block there. There's fear.
That's fear. That's pure fear.
Like,
Hmm.
and I want to help them, but they need to want the help, right? You can't help someone that doesn't want it because
That is
they think,
true.
and when I was growing up, now people are quite open about money and sex. When I was growing up, everything was a secret.
Yeah, that's true. That I experienced that as that generation. That's what really
Yeah.
what it was. Top secret.
Now we're all open about that stuff, which is a lot better.
That is a lot better. Okay, so I have another question for you. I already know that I'm going to want to talk to you again, but the third question I had for you, I think is really important. And it was, what have you learned in the last few years that you can share with people to help them know that they can change their life no matter what state they're in right now as they listen to this?
Repeat that.
What have you learned in the last few years that you can share with people to help them know that they can change their life no matter what state they are in?
All you have to do is serve. Whatever you decide to do, doesn't matter what line of work you are in. I could not have grown my financial practice to hundreds of millions. I could, because of, if I wouldn't have served those people.
Wow.
You know, the shoes, I couldn't have been the number one shoe seller in Canada out of all these stores if I wouldn't have served the people. I
Yeah.
mean, it's different levels, but it's exactly the same thing. So everybody can do it. So you must serve, like Zig Ziglar said, If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And when I had people that I hired, I'd say, all you have to do is look after your client. Don't ever think about the commission you're making. Just help them. The money will just flow faster than you can even fantasize right now.
Wow.
So, that's what it's about. Because if you're thinking about the commissions you're making, the universe says, no, it doesn't work that way. You're going to make less sales.
I think that's incredible to leave on that. A lot of people don't understand that concept of serving. And I know, like, I was in Bob Proctor, The Inner Circle, and I've listened to his book since I was a kid. And
yeah, well, you've given me goosebumps.
it's something that always I felt came through him. If anything else, was I really felt like he wanted people to know that they could have it all. Like, he wanted to serve.
Yeah.
And I feel like that when I hear you speak and you say, like, oh, that made me want to cry. Like, just if you help, if you just serve and you come from that place of love, like, there's nothing more powerful in the universe than that place. And
Exactly.
that's where the abundance flows. And like yourself, I think a piece of it comes from that hard knocks. Like, when you realize you've had money, you've had whatever you want, and you realize, yeah, money's great, but what is it without that love and compassion and serving? It really isn't that great then. Like, it's full circle.
Yeah,
And I
for
would
sure.
agree with you on that. And I've learned that lesson. And people will say, like, oh, I want to have lots of money. I want to marry a man who's rich. And I said, it doesn't matter if you don't have more in here. Like, this is where it needs to happen. So I appreciate you sharing that. That was such a beautiful way to end this podcast. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I would really love if you'd be open to sharing, maybe on another time that works, about some financial, I would call it some financial secrets for women who might be in the same situation as you. I get a lot of them reaching out to me, especially on TikTok. They want to change their life. There's a woman, she has 8 kids. She's living in New York. She's like, how do I change my life? She's on her own. And I have a number of women who've reached out to me, and it'd be really neat to be able to give some tidbits of advice from someone like yourself who's gone through it. I find myself, I don't see a lot of women like yourself who do mentor younger women. I find there's a lot of men in this arena. So it would be really powerful if you would be open to coming on again and talking. Would you be?
Sure. Yeah. Like, I won't give financial advice because I'm not licensed to do that any longer. But
you just give your opinions on what you've experienced in life.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
because cool. It doesn't matter how bad your circumstances are. There's always a way.
I love that.
Sometimes you need help to think about the way.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a little bit of hope from someone who's been there and can say, I've done it. You can do it too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Marja, I am so grateful and so blown. Thank you so much for coming and sharing this. And I truly believe in synchronicity, and I believe that your voice affecting one person literally changes people around the world. And I know even one person hearing this could probably change and impact the community they're in. And I just am like, I got so many shivers every time you spoke. So I feel like there's something that's just really going to come out of this for someone, including me. So thank you. Thank you for taking
I totally enjoyed this.
I appreciate it. And I hope you have a fabulous evening. We figured out how to get on here, so I hope we can figure out how to get off here. But thank you, and we're going to get you back on. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Talk to you.
Bye.